Hello my very good friends. On today's incredible installment of comic book news, DC announces the new creative teams behind their Milestone line of comics. Marvel delays the finale of King in Black, and Batman enters the world of Fortnite. All that plus the end of Oblivion Song, Keanu Reeves releases a new trailer for his BRZRKR comic, and the Black Cat tries to steal the Infinity Gauntlet. So, let's get on with it then. I'm Henry, and this is the news. Alright, on Friday, DC released Milestone Returns Infinite Edition, a special one-shot that serves as the launching point for the new line of Milestone comics. At the end of the main story, it also gave us our first look at all the different creative teams from the various different books that'll be coming out over the next few months. So, starting us off, we have Static Season 1 this April from writer Vita Ayala and artist Crisscross and Nicholas Draper Ivy. Then, in June, we have Icon and Rocket Season 1 from writers Reginald Hudlin and Leon Chills and artist Doug Braithwaite. Then, in August, we have Hardware Season 1 from writer Brandon Thomas and artist Dennis Cohen and Bill Sienkiewicz. This is an all-star lineup of creators, and I'm really excited. What I love so much about this is that it mixes in fresh voices like Brandon Thomas and Vita Ayala with established heavy hitters like Dennis Cohen and Bill Sienkiewicz. This is going to be an incredible initiative of titles, and I am really excited. I can't wait to support it just because I'm happy that Milestone is back. Static was one of the pillars of my childhood and one of my favorite superheroes, so having a new Static comic book makes me really happy. And, you know, Icon and Rocket and Hardware, that's just icing on top of the whole thing. I cannot wait, and these books will be, you know, unfolding over the next few months and then getting print releases later on after their initial, you know, digital launches, and I think they're going to be a huge smash. I can't wait to see what people have to say about these final products. Batman has had some pretty wild team-ups, but this might be his most dangerous yet. This April, the Caped Crusader teams up with Fortnite for Batman Fortnite 0 Point. Now this 6-issue storyline starts on April 20th, and it'll have new issues coming out twice a month through July. The story is written by Christos Gage and Chief Creative Officer of Epic Games, Donald Mustard, and features the art of Christian Deuce, Nelson DeCastro, Riley Brown, and John Cleese. The story focuses on Batman, who is ripped out of Gotham City and dropped into the world of Fortnite and has to find a way back home. While he's there, he's going to team up with characters such as the Renegade Raider, Fishstick, and Bandolier. I'll admit it, I have not played a whole lot of Fortnite. I've only played like an hour of the game, but I do think it's really cool that DC is doing this kind of a crossover with a video game franchise, because I always like stuff like that. You know, I'm a kid that grew up on Marvel vs. Capcom, so stuff like this feels very organic and natural. I mean, it's totally a big marketing ploy, but I think it's fun. It's also going to have new codes for DLC content from the Fortnite game, so if you're a Fortnite player, you pick up this book, you get, you know, a comic book, and you get skins for the game. I think it's a win-win situation for everybody involved. Hopefully it helps get some fans of the game to, you know, stick with the comic books for a little bit, and, you know, if not, no harm, no foul. I think this is pretty cool. The Black Cat has always been a master thief, but now she's set her eyes on one of the biggest prizes that the Marvel Universe has to offer. This summer, Black Cat number 8 by writer Jed MacKay will see Felicia Hardy trying to get her hands on the Infinity Gauntlet. Now, this is a tie-in for the Infinite Destiny storyline, which, consequentially, this news has resolicited. Infinite Destinies was a planned event for last summer, but due to the Diamond Comics distribution shutdown, it got pushed back indefinitely, and now we know that it's going to be coming back up. It's going to be coming out this June over a series of 8 different annuals, focusing on different villains trying to steal the Infinity Stones. So, this seems definitely out of Black Cat's wheelhouse, but I'm curious to see how she fits into the story. I've actually really liked a lot of the different Infinity-based stories that Marvel's done over the last few years. I really liked Infinity Wars, so I'm pretty curious to see how this plays out, because, you know, Jed MacKay is one of those writers that Marvel has trusted with a lot of really cool books, and I'm confident that he's going to do a good job with this story. The end is near for Oblivion Song by Robert Kirkman and Lorenzo De Felici. This was confirmed in the letters column for issue number 30 of the series, but don't feel bad, it's actually the planned ending that the creators had in mind for the series. The book started back in 2018 and focuses on Nathan Cole, a scientist who is guilt-ridden with finding his brother after he is pulled into another dimension along with 300,000 other citizens of Philadelphia. Basically, this big crazy thing happens and a big chunk of the city disappears into this other world, and Nathan has to go into that world to try to find his brother, and chaos ensues. It's a really good book. I actually really enjoyed it. Lorenzo Di Felici's art is absolutely fantastic, and it was kind of like his debut series, so that was a great introduction to make to the world. And I'm not really sad that this book is ending. I'm more so excited that it gets to end on its own terms. I think it's always cool, you know, when a book can continue and continue and continue, but I think it's also equally rewarding to have a story that actually just knows when its time is up. So this book is probably going to be wrapping up in about July based on the current pacing, and I'm sure it's going to make one hell of a read when it's all put together. Boom Studios has released a trailer for their upcoming series BRZRKR, due out next Wednesday, from Keanu Reeves, writer Matt Kindt, and artist Ron Garney. Yes, that Keanu Reeves. He also does the voice for the trailer. Now, this series follows a man who has lived for centuries and survived countless wars and endless bloody conflict and just wants a way to escape. He just wants answers for his unreasonably long and horribly painful life. But in order to get them, he's going to have to work for the US government, doing their dirty work in the hope that one day they can end his painful existence. The book was funded on Kickstarter last year and shattered all kind of records. It's actually, I think right now it's like the highest selling comic book in like 7 years or so, ever since the Marvel Star Wars #1, which was like back in 2014, I'm pretty sure. This book should be really popular when it comes out this week. If you aren't already picking it up, I'm sure it's going to have a lot of speculator buzz because, you know, the main character looks just like Keanu Reeves. I'm sure that they're going to try to option it into a film. You know, that whole shebang. The series does sound really cool, and I'm confident that Matt Kindt and Ron Garney will make an incredible comic because they're both fantastic creators, and this is easily the most successful book that Boom has ever had, and I'm really curious to see where it goes from here. Publisher Z2 Comics has announced a pair of graphic novels focusing on different musical groups. The first is Czarface, A Czar is Born, written by co-founder Seamus Ryan, better known as Esoteric, with art by Ariel Olivetti. Then, Blondie takes center stage in Against the Odds, written by Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti, with art by John McCrea. Now, for that book, Debbie Harry and Chris Stein are consultants for the story. This is interesting. These are two wildly different approaches to, you know, music-based graphic novels. One of them is a very grounded story about reality, and the other one has aliens in it. But considering who's involved, I'm not particularly surprised. I love Ariel Olivetti's art, so that's pretty cool. John McCrea's art is also very great. And yeah, if you are a fan of either of these musical groups, you should check these books out. Scout Comics have announced a new series called Chaos Agent for writer Dennis Camp and artist Philia Bradigan. The series follows a top super spy named Philip Bank who works for the organization known as World, WORLDE. After years as a superstar spy, fighting against time travelers and aliens and evil geniuses, Philip begins to wonder if there's more to life than endless hyper-violence and sets out on a deadly journey of self-discovery through the weird problems that the world has to offer. The series is set to come out this June and sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds very chaotic, appropriately so. I think it's always cool that Scout is a great platform for new voices to emerge in the world of comics, and you know, hopefully this finds an audience, and if you're interested in it, you should go to your local comic book store and ask if they pull it aside for you. Writer Christopher Cantwell and artist Adam Gorham are bringing a cosmic hero down to Earth in the pages of The Blue Flame, a new series coming out from Vault Comics this May. The book focuses on the titular Blue Flame, a space-traveling superhero who still finds time to patrol Milwaukee when he's not busy being a heating and cooling repairman. But he's going to be the Earth's last hope when a universal court sets out to decide if humanity is worth saving. Now, this book sounds like it's got a pretty cool premise and a unique perspective because Christopher Cantwell has said that he was kind of inspired by just how bleak everything is, particularly in the last 20 years since the turn of the century, how all of humanity just seems to be this giant garbage fire. So I'm actually pretty curious to see if this turns out to be a more optimistic book about what is worth saving or if it's going to be condemning humanity. So I know that Christopher Cantwell has a great track record. He's been nominated for Eisners and he's worked on so many great TV shows, and you know, Adam Gorham's art is always pretty cool, so I think this is going to be a really fun series. Drawn and Quarterly have acquired the rights to the next book from Mariko and Jillian Tamaki. Now, even though this book doesn't come out until like 2023, I wanted to bring it up now just because of how much I liked their previous book, This One Summer. That book was a coming-of-age story about two young girls and the one summer that changed their lives forever. And this new book is kind of following that same train of thought as it focuses on a trio of young women in their freshman year of college who visit New York City for the first time ever. It's also a period piece. It takes place in 2009, and what's insane is that by the time it comes out, 2009 will have been 14 years earlier. I think this should be really good. I really loved This One Summer. It won a lot of awards, and it deserved all the praise in the world, so I expect this is going to be another critical darling, and keep an eye out for it in 2 years. The Department of Truth by James Tynion IV and Martin Simons has been picked up to be adapted into a TV show by the production company Sister. Now, normally I don't get too excited when I hear that a comic book is going to become a TV show, because just because you hear that announcement doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. A lot of things could go wrong along the way. But in the case of the Department of Truth, I am super excited because the Department of Truth is one of my favorite comics currently coming out, and I think would make a beautiful translation into television and be truly, truly terrifying. The book is about the idea that conspiracy theories are all real. Everything you have heard, every QAnon conspiracy theory is actually real if you just believe hard enough. And reality is malleable, and the Department of Truth stops people from believing in these conspiracies, because then the world as we know it will cease to exist. It is a really great series, and conveniently the first trade paperback for the book just came out this week. So if you have not been reading it, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you pick it up. It is a great read and one of my favorite books going. I really hope that this TV show pans out, and it could be really exciting because I think audiences would love it. Angel Manuel Soto has been brought in as the director for the upcoming Blue Beetle film. Now, a couple months ago, DC Films executive Walter Hamada said that they would be focusing on new films about smaller characters that maybe aren't as well known to popular audiences, but I gotta admit, Blue Beetle's a bit of a deeper cut than I was expecting. I'm very excited for this project, don't get me wrong, because Jaime Reyes is an awesome character, and he's my favorite iteration of the Blue Beetle legacy, so the fact that he's gonna be in a movie makes me very, very excited. Plus, I think it's really cool that Warner Bros. Is actually starting this off pretty authentically. They're bringing in a Puerto Rican director, they've got a Mexican screenwriter named Gareth Dunnet Alcocer, and I think that this is a really great way to approach an important character like Jaime Reyes, who could mean a lot to a lot of people, and already does. So I'm very excited, and I love the idea of a Latino superhero being put into a movie. I mean, that's awesome. So yeah, of course I support this. This is great. DC continues to dive deeper into the audio world with a slew of podcasts coming soon to Spotify. Leading the charge will be Batman Unburied from David S. Goyer, the writer behind the Dark Knight trilogy and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. In a video promoting this series, DC executive Jim Lee also teased upcoming podcasts for Superman and Lois Lane, Catwoman and Katana, and the Joker. I think this is really cool. It's a great way to expose a new audience to the characters that DC has at their disposal. And I think it's also pretty fun just to see how comic book characters translate into a podcast. I really like the Wolverine podcast from Ben Percy that came out a couple years ago, and I think this could be really cool. David S. Goyer has a really strong track record for successful projects, and I'm curious to see who ends up actually listening to this. And in my final news story for this week, Hulu released the first trailer for the upcoming M.O.D.O.K animated series. The show is being spearheaded by Jordan Blum and Patton Oswalt, and stars Patton Oswalt as the titular M.O.D.O.K. Frankly, I am surprised that this show is actually going to be a real thing. It was announced alongside a bunch of other different Marvel properties that were supposed to be turned into animated series, but none of those actually happened. They all got canceled before they made it that far in their developmental cycle, and M.O.D.O.K is the one that became a real thing, and it's going to be here on May 21st with 10 episodes, and I'm very excited for it. If nothing else, I'm just thankful that this even happened. M.O.D.O.K is a very, very, very ridiculous character, and he's definitely not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and the show looks like it's going to be pretty fun, if nothing else. So we'll see how it turns out. It raises his profile, gets him a lot of exposure that he didn't previously had, and is going to be utterly ridiculous. I'm just thankful, and I'm very excited to see my glorious, hideous, beautiful baby on the silver screen. So that's it. Tell me what was your favorite story that I talked about this week. Let me know in the comment section below, and we can have a fun little chit chat about the world of comics. Then, while you're at it, can you please like this video and share it with your friends so they too can experience the goodness that is comic book news. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and sign up for notifications so you stay up to date whenever I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching this. I really greatly appreciate it. And if you are interested in more of me, you can follow me across social media at A White Cuban, where I continue to talk about comic books and whatever flighty thoughts fly through my head. So, if nothing else, I'll be here next week with more comic book news.